Hello and welcome to the Random Wrestling Review. It's the local to global series that just keeps on going. We are in the middle, of course, of booking Fighting Spirit 5. We did a bunch of stuff here in the last episode. I'm just going to change one thing. I'm going to add CM Punk to this angle that Batista is. This is where talking about in the ring. Batista says that he's fought over a year to get a title shot and he's nearly there. And that's because I want to. I kind of took a step back after the last episode before I carried on booking this and thought, actually, let's just have a look at our storylines because we do need to review some of this stuff. So Buddy Wayne and Darren Drozdov is still very much going at the moment, so I'll keep that in place. But Dave Batista and Chris Harris is over. So I'm going to end this story. Rebellion versus Rebellion is still going. So is Red Alert versus Calgary Connection. This is the Mark Henry Sean Stasiak story that's sort of now included CM Punk too, but Punk has kind of beaten Stasiak, so we're going to remove Punk from that again, and we're going to add now Dave Batista versus CM Punk. So that should give you plenty of clue, not even clue, pretty much explicitly says one of the big stories we're heading towards. And this kind of starts really from that special guest referee appearance that we had in the last show, unofficially, but now we're making it official with Batista kind of saying that he's looking for a title shot. We're not going to have Batista name CM Punk here, but it's going to be clear that, if Batista's going to win the world title back, he's got to go up against CM Punk. So that's kind of like just a nod towards that thing happening. So now to move on, although there was one other thing I wanted to do in the story is which is to add One Man Gang to this thing. Because he is now obviously alongside Barry Buchanan, Billy Kidman, etc. In that story. So then we're going to, next on the show, we're going to add a match between Ace Steel and One Man Gang. So One Man Gang now really entering the arena as part of this storyline. We'll make this one go 11 minutes, I think, but One Man Gang is going to get the victory as he really starts to make his mark on the story between these two men. Sorry, not these two men, these two factions. So, put that in place. Yeah, okay. We've got a story. You know what? We can make it 9 minutes if that'll get One Man Gang through it. No, it won't. So I'm going to make it 11 because it's the same problem, whichever way I go. But so now we've done enough to actually run the show, but it's not even close to being finished. We have got, first of all, a tag team title match, and it is Charlie Haas and C.W. Anderson against the Calgary Connection of T.J. Wilson and Teddy Hart. I feel like I booked Teddy Hart earlier in the show, but I didn't. I'm just remembering the last show, I think. So this one's going to go 14 minutes. It's going to be a good length match, this one. You remember the last time they wrestled each other. In fact, let's have a look at that. It went to a time limit draw when they fought over the North West titles in October of last year. Well, they're back now, Calgary Connection, to go for the title again, and this time they're going to take it. We are going to switch the tag team belts to the Calgary Connection. I'm going to see if they can do an all-out match that's 14 minutes long. They can. So good luck to Red Alert and Calgary Connection. This is for the tag team championships. We're going to have new champions. I think we'll have C.W. Anderson take the pin. And yes, there we go. Red Alert versus Calgary Connection's new tag team champions on this show. And yet there is more, because before the main event, which is going to be CM Punk versus Billy Kidman, of course, for the title, out come Ace Steel, along with Phantasma and Chemo, to line up to prevent Barry Buchanan, One Man Gang, and Rex King from becoming involved in this match. So, as you might imagine, the New Rebellion accompany Kidman to the ring. The Rebellion come out to match them, to prevent them from becoming involved in this thing. The feud between these two factions continues, and this is Kidman's opportunity to win the Northwest Championship. The New Rebellion come out with him, but the Rebellion come out to prevent them from being a part of this match. And that allows us to have CM Punk versus Billy Kidman, and for it to be a clean match between the champion and the newest challenger. We're not going to make this a slow build match, I've decided, because I don't think they need it. But CM Punk is going to retain the title. I think this will be his 8th title defense, and CM Punk's going to get a big victory. And this is, of course, actually quite important because of the shared history these two have. They don't have huge shared history, but one thing that's very important about them. Well, they do have some huge shared history, of course, because CM Punk and Billy Kidman came into this company together. They had a match all the way back at Converge in 1999, where the winner got given a contract by the company. CM Punk won that and got given a contract, but Billy Kidman stuck around because he was sponsored by Buddy Wayne, his mentor. They had one other singles match, or they have had one other singles match since that time, and that was in the final of the Golden Triangle tournament last year, all the way back in March of last year, so 11 months ago. And Billy Kidman won it to win the Golden Triangle tournament. Of course, that was with the help of not of the Rebellion, sorry, it was with the help, of course, of Jim Neidhart, as the Heart Incorporated started to form, and it was revealed then thereafter that the Rebellion had done a deal with Heart Incorporated. So that is where we are now. They finally come together for the 3rd time, and this time Punk gets the win. So kind of takes the rubber match in their 3-match series, such as it is. It's not really a series, it's been stretched over nearly 4 years, but a big match, I think, with lots of history to it. Now, before we do the show, let's have a look at the rankings, because I keep giving you the rankings after I've run a show, and therefore it doesn't actually reflect the rankings as they stand currently. This is where they are before Fighting Spirit 5. CM Punk champion, Billy Kidman the number 1 contender, of course. Then we've got C.W. Anderson on 9 points. Chris Harris, Dave Bautista and Charlie Haas all have 7. TJ Wilson has 6. We've got Darren Drozdov, Teddy Hart, Chemo and Barry Buchanan all on 5. We've also got Brock Lesnar on 5, but of course he remains out injured at this point in time, although he's not far from being able to return, I don't think. We got Rex King on 4, Phantasma One Man Gang, Chaz Warrington and Ace Steel on 3, Glenn Ruth and Mark Henry on 2, and at the bottom Sean Stasiak and Buddy Wayne both on 0 after recently losing title matches. So we're not going to be penalised. We've got a perfectly green booking analysis here. Because of the fact that we've got commentary team. They could be the worst commentary team in history, and let's not forget this is also a really significant show because it's the first one that's being televised of the Random Wrestling Review. So I almost forgot all that, but that is the subplot behind all of this, is that we finally have TV. So let's run through this show, shall we, and bring you what we need to bring you. So in front of 300 people, a packed Marshall Center are here to witness the first ever show of the Random Wrestling Reviews on television. And it didn't start very well because Billy Kidman was terrible with no script to follow. His dialogue was a mess. Now, he's been better than this on the mic in the past, I'm sure of it. So this was a real shame. But anyway, Billy Kidman comes out ahead of his Northwest title match against CM Punk in tonight's main event and introduces the newest member of the New Rebellion, One Man Gang. He's accompanied by Barry Buchanan, of course, and Rex King. Kidman says that tonight is going to be the greatest night in the history of the Rebellion, or the New Rebellion, when he wins the Northwest title on the same night as they become whole again as a foursome. Kidman, One Man Gang, Barry Buchanan and Rex King, and he hails this as a golden age for the Rebellion faction. He says that CM Punk is going down when they face each other for the 3rd time in their careers tonight. The last time they met, he reminds everybody that Kidman took the victory in the final of the Golden Triangle tournament last year. Segment rating of 34, not the best segment rating here, bit of a disappointment, but okay as a starting point for the show. Then the first match, the first televised match in Random Wrestling Review history, sees Chris Harris, Darren Drozdov, and Mark Henry win a six-man tag contest against Buddy Wayne and the Headbangers in 10 minutes and 40 when Mark Henry pins Chaz Warrington with a big splash. So the match deserves better announcing, and this might be a thing that really limits us on this event. We are committed to, after this event, hiring ourselves a proper announcer and a proper color commentator. We've had to draft in Bruce Hart and Sharmell Sullivan to deliver this commentary for this first show. Segment rating though of 41. The performances of, well, Chris Harris was by far and away the best wrestler in the match. Everybody else actually a little bit lower, but that's to be kind of expected from this group. And you can see Darren Drozdov, importantly, at 36 now, so he's really starting to improve as he's stuck around, so that's something to be pretty happy with. Next we have Ace Steel come out and basically approach Buddy Wayne, who is just in the last match. So after the match clears and everyone leaves, Buddy Wayne is left in the ring, and Ace Steel comes out and approaches him. And Ace Steel says that he is fighting a war against the New Rebellion. He says that every chance tonight Billy Kidman becomes the new Northwest champion. He says that Kidman is taking this thing further than he ever did, and Billy Kidman won't stop at just making things good for his group. He wants to take over the whole of the Random Wrestling Review. And he says to Buddy Wayne that he could be the missing piece of the puzzle to come help him join his rebellion and take out the New Rebellion. But Buddy Wayne turns around and declines Ace Steel's offer. He says that Rebellion or New Rebellion, as far as he's concerned, they're all the same. They all want the same things. He's been fighting for the last 3 years against Ace Steel's Rebellion, and just because somebody else is now at the helm doesn't mean that he's going to join Ace Steel to go up against them. So segment rating of 48, actually a pretty good segment here. Only problem it had was it didn't have great announcing, but yes, a very good way to start. Very good way for this segment to go, and a really interesting sort of new element here to the Rebellion versus the Rebellion feud. So then we had Barry Buchanan versus Phantasma. Talking of the Rebellion versus the Rebellion, Phantasma was really off his game, and he has dropped in-ring performance just recently. Barry Buchanan did an in-ring performance of 45 and got the victory, which is pretty big for him, and the match deserves better announcing. I think we're going to have to take it as read that our announcing is going to be an overall a problem, although perhaps not quite as big a problem as I feared it might be. Also, we need to change Barry Buchanan's gimmick because it is getting stale. But a victory for Barry Buchanan in a 40 rated match. Then Dave Bautista versus Sean Stasiak. A little bit of a grudge match following what happened at the last show, with Sean Stasiak taking on CM Punk for the Northwest title, with Dave Bautista as a special guest referee. And I have forgotten to book something in this match, so that's really annoying. We're gonna blast past that. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Batista gets the victory over Sean Stasiak in 13 minutes and 14 seconds by pinfall, with segment rating here of 45. Stasiak was very good, staying at his 47 level. Batista's dropped down a little bit. I think that's partially because we've not booked him as strongly as we did in the past, and that's affected his popularity somewhat, but still a very good match between these two. Then after the match, Dave Bautista grabs a microphone and he says that he's been fighting for now over a year to get himself a title shot since losing the belt to Chris Harris, when Chris Harris was helped by Jim the Anvil Neidhart to get that belt. He says that he is now nearly there. He's nearly the top contender in the company. Today was his 8th point, which puts him behind only a handful or one or two other wrestlers, and soon he will be taking back what he believes is his title. Of course, Batista, the one man in the company who has held the belt twice in the past. So next we have Ace Steel versus One Man Gang. So this was another match in the Rebellion versus Rebellion feud, and One Man Gang gets the victory to add to Barry Buchanan's earlier victory over Phantasma. 11 minutes and 19 seconds this one went, and One Man Gang won with the 747 splash. Deserved better announcing. One Man Gang was tiring towards the end, but this did a segment rating of 43, Ace Steel of 44, One Man Gang of 41. Pretty decent, and I can't be unhappy with what took place here. Then we have the tag team title match, and we have new tag team champions. The Calgary Connection win the belts in 14:29 when Teddy Hart pinned C.W. Anderson with a Heart Attack 2.0. T.J. Wilson was the weak link, struggling to keep up with everyone else's performances, unsurprisingly. But a segment rating of 45, possibly brought down by the announcing quality, I think. But Teddy Hart did a 47, Charlie House a 48, C.W. Anderson a 43. And we have new tag team champions. The Calgary Connection have climbed to the top of the tag team division. Now, as for the main event, Billy Kidman comes out alongside his New Rebellion troops, Barry Buchanan, One Man Gang, and Rex King. But in counter to that, Ace Steel, Phantasma, and Chemo come to the ring and see off Buchanan, One Man Gang, and Rex King to ensure that this is a clean main event between CM Punk and Billy Kidman. It's got a segment rating of 28, which is really poor. We've got Chemo's gimmick is getting stale. Better take a note of that. The lack of anything interesting happening was the problem here, though, as mainly people stood around kind of, gesturing to the others to go away. There's another thing I've forgotten to do in the booking. This is how much I had to book for the show. I just kept forgetting stuff. So what we're going to have here is CM Punk cutting a promo after the main event. And it will be also involving Ace Steel. And it will involve... I think it just can involve those two. CM Punk thanks the New Rebellion. But tells them he still won't join the group. And I'll explain all that when we get there. We can make that 4 minutes to end this show. Oh, we cannot continue because we've gone too long now in our show. We only have to shave off a few minutes, so let's take this down. Let's go down to 13 minutes, that's okay, and this one can go down to 3 minutes. So we can just about fit it all in, but therein I meant to change all of them to 2 hours, and that now that we're on TV, another thing I forgot, so I will add that as another thing I need to note down. This, I tell you what, this save is getting more and more complex for me to manage. There's just more and more I'm needing to remember, and clearly I'm not doing a great job of it, but we'll take a note to do that as well. And then the main event, CM Punk, Billy Kidman, a 51 rated match. Despite the poor announcing, Punk pulls it out again, a Pepsi plunge, pinfall victory for Punk, making defense number 8 of the RWR North West Title here. Billy Kidman did well as well, a 47 rating from him. Very nice main event, not in the absolute top tier matches we've had, but more than enough to ensure we get the popularity changes that we want. And then to finish off the show, CM Punk thanks the New Rebellion. He grabs the microphone and thanks the New Rebellion for their help in ensuring the rest of the Rebellion did not get involved. But he tells Ace Steel that he watched on earlier on as Ace Steel offered Buddy Wayne a place in his Rebellion. And Ace Steel and Punk basically said to him, look, if you're thinking of offering me a place as well, if this was some kind of gesture to get me to join your cause, you can forget it. I turned you down once before, over a year ago, and you made my life a hell. I'm not here to join you now either, so please don't ask me, effectively. A segment rating of 55, a very good segment actually to finish us off here, and we complete our first TV show, a TV show that increased our popularity in 4 regions. How great it is to read that is what we're going to be doing now, is actually being able to expand on more than one front with each event. Great news. The show overall was pretty good. It did suffer because of the announcing. That will be something we will be sorting out in our next, ahead of our next event. But the main event was really good. There were some other good matches. We had new tag team champions. In general, a good overall show. I'm going to continue to compliment CM Punk, who's still doing great work pretty much every time, and Darren Drozdov as well, who continues to improve each time. Got my eye on him to make sure he keeps going in the direction we want him to go. And I think I'm going to give Barry Buchanan a compliment because I think his performance was pretty decent as well in this show. So that's Fighting Spirit 5. Fighting Spirit being quite a big deal on the calendar. It's one of the sort of big events of the year. And I think we delivered in more ways than one. Obviously, it was the first televised event in history. First, new tag team champions. Big match between CM Punk and Billy Kidman with all their history. Really happy with that. Some news. Viewing figures. 5,002 viewers for our first ever TV show. So that's amazing. That is about 4,500 more people saw that show than any of our previous events. That's really cool. Really great to see that. That's why I wanted to get on TV. Really start to see the numbers go up. We had Ric Flair in WCW has turned heel. Okay, so that was out of Nitro, I presume. Don't know how they did that, but not really bothered. So Ric Flair's heel. That appears to be WWE's big play in 2002, is to turn the very old Ric Flair heel to get them to maybe move up a little bit. How did our show do in this news? Where is it? Last night's Fighting Spirit. Feedback has been awesome. The small companies outshone some of the bigger companies' efforts, and we are going to start becoming a bigger company now. We've got Mid-South coverage and Great Lakes coverage and Southeast coverage as well. So we're going to be spreading ourselves out a little bit, which is great to see. But more importantly, our size in the Northwest is now up to 30. So we are only 5 away from being a small company, which would be another great milestone for us. So plenty there to look forward to. Just to look at the top 100s, obviously in terms of attendances, well, we're getting 300 every single time now. So the free shows are where we really are growing in terms of attendances, but obviously we get no money for those. In terms of matches, that 51 rated main event is the 23rd best match in company history. Punk sets another 50 plus match rating. And in terms of top events, I don't believe this will be particularly high, but it is the 11th best show of all time that we've just done. So that's cool as well. And in terms of titles, obviously, first of all, Northwest Title, CM Punk now has 8 successful defenses of this belt. You can see that the record number of defenses for any champion is Dave Bautista, which has got 10, which is actually not something I'd considered, but quite a nice kind of, coincidence, given that we are coming up to having the CM Punk Batista feud, which that could play a part in. And the Northwest Tag Team Champions are now held by the Calgary Connection. Red Alert's third title reign has come to an end, and TJ Wilson and Teddy Hart hold the belts for the first time as a team. So that's pretty cool as well. Financially, we are down $6,000, so that is going to be down to production. So this is where things might start to unravel just a little. But we have got a lot more money coming in, expected to come in from sponsors. By the end of the month, I presume the production value cost will be up to around £14,000. So it's going to be touch and go as to whether we break even. But if we break even, that will be fine, especially as we're still rising. The wrestling industry is still rising. The economy is still rising. So both of those things should also help us out. Now, we've got to, before we move on, before we go to our next show, which we haven't actually titled, so let's get that sorted next, I guess. We've got a second show in February to run, Monday, week 4 in February. Let's just check that that's all clear. It is all clear. What are we going to call this one then? Well, I'm going to turn to my ChatGPT generated names for something to use, and I think we're going to call it Ring Riot. Not great, but nice and generic, which is what I want. A 2-hour show we're going to go with, because that's the way we want to do things now. And RWR Ring Riot will be our next event and will be televised. And of course, that's the other thing I wanted to quickly look at. Show history here. For the first time, we've got, the viewing figures. Funnily enough, 3,700 of them came from the Northwest, of course. 1,000 came from KTXA, which is the one from Mid-South. That's interesting. I think they're just a bigger company, aren't they, KTXA? The one from the Southeast did 75 viewers, and the one from the Great Lakes also did just 75 viewers. But those 75 will go out and tell everyone about it, because it was such a good show. So, of course, they'll be happy with that. Yeah, what we need to do next, though, is find our announcers. This could be, I've got to be honest, this could be a challenge. And actually, just before I move on, our decision not to go with the women's division feels more and more sensible, given that this so lacking in terms of numbers of viable women that can actually work in the company. Yeah, it doesn't. It wouldn't have been a good idea. I'm pretty happy we've gotten away from that. So announcing, we want this to be pretty big, right? In fact, let's find an announcer. So USA announcer, any status to hire, search. So there are some. It's good news. The announcing attribute is way too low here, but this is good. Low end of 65 of Bert Prentice. So he's someone who's a possibility. How much is Bert Prentice, by the way? Only 400 per show. So this is not going to be cheap at all. Chris Cruz. So he was a former WCW commentator, I think, with OVW in this save, and again pretty decent. Corey Macklin. I think he was a sort of Memphis commentator. I think I might be maybe wrong in that, but he's been around a while. His range is higher, but his floor is lower. But he's 140 per show, and he's unemployed. I feel like he's the kind of guy we probably will go with because we do want to keep costs down. But let's just see what else is around. So Dave Brown, so yeah, $1,000 per show. I'm not even going to look at that. Dave Prazak, 210 per show. Here's announcing. So he's got a higher floor, lower ceiling but higher floor, which is more appealing to me. Eric Bischoff is going to be a lot. 800 per show, not terrible. Announcing 81 to 89. I mean, he'd be a brilliant announcer. I just think he's too expensive. Let's skip over Jesse Ventura for now. Joe Aiello, 400 per show. Don't really think... Well, 64 to 72 is not bad. Joey Styles still with ECW, but we could use him as well. But at 700 per show, he's pretty expensive. Lee Marshall, just 260 per show. Again, another former WCW guy, I think. 63 to 71, pretty good. Mick Karsh, not sure who he worked for in the past. 62 to 70. Sam DeCero, there's no information about him. I'm wondering whether this is not even a real person. 31.76. And Scott Hudson, currently unemployed, so not with WCW, never been picked up by WCW. 400 per show and a very low floor, very high ceiling. That's very tempting. Even though it's 400 per show, it's very tempting to bring Scott Hudson in. So I've got a few options here. Corey Macklin does stand out because he's 140, and like he might be as low as 41, but he could be as high as 86. And if you're a gambling man, you go, well, that's about 62, 63 in the middle, so there's a good chance he'll actually be pretty decent. And for 140 per month, it might be worth it. And to be honest, we can always replace him in the future if it turns out he's not that great. So we are going to bring in Corey Macklin as the first announcer for the Random Wrestling Review. There's another reason I did that. I just felt like going for someone who was a bigger name felt a little bit wrong. It just felt a little bit unrealistic for this company. And I've not tried to keep it too realistic. I've tried to play this as a game rather than try and make it too much of a simulation. But there are certain bits and pieces where I'm feeling like, I'd like to keep this in some ways feeling, immersive. And I think Corey Macklin coming in makes me feel that way, so I'm keeping him in that position. Now, color commentator, I don't need as good announcing, but I do need some good color. Let's see what happens here. Okay, plenty of people there, so let's move this up to 80, shall we? Butch Miller apparently is good enough to do this. 170 per show. It's tempting. There's Corey Macklin again, so he could do the color if he's not good enough to do the announcing. And Dave Brown again. Here's Dutch Mantel, 2,300 per show, certainly not. Invader 1, Jake Roberts, Jeremy Borash. Possibility, because $250, and he looks like a better color commentator than announcer, with a ceiling of 65, 250 per show. That's somebody that we could definitely look at getting. I'm skipping through some of these because of cost, and others because I just don't think it fits. Jonathan Coachman, $400. Announcer, not as good as Borash. I think at the moment Borash is in pole position. Keith Hart is a color commentator. Who knew? And he is willing to negotiate, and that would be really... I mean, look, his floor is low, but his ceiling is high, and he's got history with the company. It just feels right that Keith Hart comes in as our color commentator. I'm going to do it. He might not be very good, but again, we can always just release him if he's not good enough. It's nice to have Keith Hart back in the fold as well, especially with Bruce Hart off screen now, out of the kind of limelight. At least at the moment he is. Like, yes, we've got Teddy who's representing the Hart family, but to have Keith as well back in the fold, long-time wrestler in the company. I like this team, Corey Macklin and Keith Hart. It feels real. It feels like it could actually work. It feels like it's something that goes, works for us. Well, all that being said, now we've hired our announcing team. It is time for us to end this episode because we've done our 30 minutes today. But thank you for joining me. I've not given you any prompts to follow us and like us and subscribe to us since we started this episode. So take that as the prompt, if you like, and I'll catch you next time.